Hey guys, welcome back to another brand new video and thanks so much for tuning in. So I just recently turned 30 and now that I'm officially out of my 20s, I thought it would be a good time to make a video to share with you the top 5 money traps or mistakes that are all too easy to fall into in your 20s and how you personally can avoid making these mistakes and ensure that you get off to a great start financially. These are all things that I really wish I'd understood when I was in my early 20s because I've made a few of these mistakes myself and I know that if I hadn't, I'd for sure be in an even better financial position today. So I really hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button. It only takes a couple of seconds to do, but it shows me which of my videos you enjoy the most and I can then make sure that I keep creating content for you that's useful in the future. So the first money trap to be really cautious about is taking on high interest consumer debt, which generally comes in the form of things like credit cards, personal loans and overdrafts. When you first get a job and start earning some consistent money, it can be so easy to get carried away with buying new stuff and going out all of the time. And that's made even easier by banks and other lenders who are just lining up to offer you money in the form of things like personal loans and credit cards. And it can be really tempting when you've got easy credit like that at your fingertips to just buy whatever you want because you know that you've got access to enough money to be able to pay for it. It's always nice to get a new car or TV or even go on a nice holiday. But unfortunately, the good feeling that you get from buying those new things goes away all too quickly. And if you've paid with them with this type of high interest debt, you're going to be left with a big bill to pay every month. More often than not, things like credit cards come with outrageous interest rates that are going to leave you paying back the lender significantly more than the amount you borrowed. So if you're not able to pay the balance off in full straight away, my recommendation is just don't do it. The problem with using debt to support your lifestyle like this is that by definition, you're spending more than you make. And at some point, you're going to have to pay the money back because it's just not possible to sustain a lifestyle of outspending your earnings. And if you do that, you'll never give yourself a chance to build wealth. If you can afford to pay for whatever it is that you want comfortably and without taking on any debt to buy it, then go for it. But spending money unnecessarily on luxuries beyond what you need is something that I wish I'd avoided in my 20s, and it's a mistake that I really ended up paying the price for. And just to be clear, when I say that you should be able to afford it comfortably, what I mean by that is that it shouldn't make one bit of difference to your lifestyle or your long-term savings goals if you spend that amount of money. If you earned £500,000 every year, then spending 10 grand on a holiday represents about 2% of your income, which realistically isn't going to make much of a difference to you. But if you earn 40 grand a year, then the same holiday is 25% of your salary, which is clearly too much to spend on an unnecessary luxury. The second money trap to avoid in your 20s is renting an expensive apartment or house. Moving into your first apartment can be such a cool experience, and it gives you a huge sense of freedom and independence to be living by yourself, where there's nobody who can tell you to wash the dishes or to make your bed. But on the other side of having all that freedom comes the responsibility of having to pay for your own rent and utilities, which for most people are the biggest costs that they have to pay for every single month. And on top of that, if you want to live somewhere that's really high end or in a really good location, like in the middle of a busy city, your rent is probably going to be significantly higher than if you were to live in something that's a little bit smaller or a little bit further away from the action. Don't get me wrong, you should definitely live somewhere that you're happy and comfortable with. But paying more than you need to in rent is just a huge waste of cash, and it takes away from the money that you could be using to save and invest for the future when it's really going to matter to you a lot more. Your 20s is a time when nobody really expects you to have any money, so take full advantage of that. And if you have the opportunity to live with parents or some other family member for little or no rent, then do it. This can be a phenomenal way to save a lot of money, which can really put you in a great position when you eventually do move out on your own. And it's an opportunity that you'll likely never get again after you move out, so make sure you make the most of it. And if you don't have the option to do that, then try to move in somewhere with a friend or a colleague where you can split the rent between you and make it more affordable. The third money trap is not investing your money as soon as possible, or in other words, waiting to invest, because you're thinking to yourself, what's the rush? It's easy to put off saving and investing when you're in your 20s, and it's much more fun to go out partying with your friends all the time and spending your money on new clothes. But doing too much of this and too little of saving and investing is probably one of the biggest mistakes that you could make when you're young. The thing about being in your 20s is that, all being good, you've got a lot of time on your side to allow any investments you make to benefit from the power of compounding. This is a massive advantage that you have over everyone else, and once that time is gone, you can't get it back. So it's really important to invest as early as possible and take full advantage of compound interest. If you invested just £100 a month from the age of 20 until you retired at 65, an annual interest rate of 7%, which is the historical average return of the S&P 500, then by the time you hit retirement age, your total investment contributions of £54,000 would have grown to just short of £343,000. But if you waited until you were 30 years old to start investing £100 a month, then by the time you hit 65, your total investment of £42,000 would be worth just under £166,000, which is less than half of what you would end up with if you'd started investing when you were 20. This is because compound interest becomes more and more powerful when it's leveraged against big sums of money. And as you can see, the last few years here make a huge difference, because by that time, you're compounding at 7% a year on 160k plus, which is where the growth really starts to happen. The fourth money trap is student loan debt. And I know you're probably thinking that student loans are an unavoidable part of life, so just hear me out on this. Going to college or university tends to be pushed onto a lot of people by teachers or parents who think that higher education is the only way to get a good job and make good money in the future. But in reality, that's just not true nowadays. So all I'm saying is that you should really think about whether going to college is necessary for you to achieve whatever goal it is that you've got your sights on. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or go into some other type of profession that requires you to have a high level of education in a specific field, then this probably doesn't apply to you, because higher education is a necessary step for you to achieve that goal. But if you're the type of person that wants to build a business or work your way up the corporate ladder in an office job or anything else that just isn't highly specialized, then you don't necessarily need to spend years in college and take on thousands of pounds worth of debt to be able to do that. The truth is that many successful people don't have a college education, so it's absurd to think that going to college is a prerequisite to having a successful career or business. Many companies hire people for junior or entry-level positions and then train them up so that they can build the skills they need to have a great career and rise through the company. And doing it this way often gives you an advantage, because instead of spending years at college studying for a degree that you aren't going to use, you get real world experience. The company usually pays for any exams you take, and on top of that, you start off without any debt and you get to start earning money straight away. So in short, what I'm saying is that if you genuinely need to go to college to pursue a specific profession, then you should absolutely do that. But there are so many people that spend all of that time and money at college and then wind up getting a job that has nothing to do with their qualifications. So give this some serious thought, because that's not a position that you want to end up in if you can avoid it. Now, the fifth and final money trap is not keeping track of your finances or budgeting your money. It's surprising that very few people actually track their spending or even have a budget, but this is one of the most basic things that everyone should be doing as soon as they start earning money. Keeping a budget is the only way to know for sure where every penny of your money is going every single month. And that's something you're really going to need to know if you're planning on building your wealth. When you have a clear picture of where your money is going, it's easy to see where you can make adjustments, like cutting back on unnecessary expenses so that you can make the most of your money and save and invest as much as possible. And the more you're able to save and invest, the more your money has a chance to grow and compound into even more money that will really benefit you in the future. It doesn't take much time at all to set up a budget, and all you need to do is check in on it every week or so to make sure that you're staying on track with your goals. So there you have it. I really hope you learned something new here, and do feel free to leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought of today's video. Also, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. It only takes a couple of seconds to do, but it really helps me out and it helps the channel to grow and reach more people too. I post a brand new video right here on the channel every single week, so if you want to be among the first to be notified when a new video drops, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also turn those notifications on by clicking the bell icon down below, and you're then going to be notified as and when new videos are released. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you right back here next time.